Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Good evening, everyone. Principal Colonel Prem Prakash, Sena Metal retired, Vice Principal Manisha Sinha ma'am, Mr. Manoj Kumar sir, my colleagues, and my fellow students. I welcome you all to this mesmerizing evening which has embarked upon our fourth glorious day of a week long career mela. So there is something said by Shirley Sandberg on the career I would like to quote. She says, "Still, my argue was that if she was going to work for the next 30 years, what difference that is going back 4 years really makes. If the other part makes her happier and offer her a choice, a new skill, that means she was going forward." I mean, really, think about it. Career is actually something that is going to define you. So, we should never be afraid to follow our passion and choose something that we actually really like. And moving forward to the environment, we all love taking a hike through jungles, the crystal clear water, lake, and campaigning in the mountains. We all retreat from Mother Nature when it comes down to rejuvenation to distress. Unfortunately, as we are witnessing in the past few days, that Delhi IQ is getting worse day by day. And Diwali is not even here yet. Air pollution and other forms of pollution has been a major global crisis which can no longer be ignored. Today, we have a very special guest amongst us who is going to help us understand about the career opportunities as an environmentalist. So I suggest you take notes regardless of what career path you are going upon, as today is going to be a rally information in this webinar. And now I call upon Mr. Manoj Kumar sir to come and introduce our guest.
Thank you, Advita. Am I audible, Advita?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome Ms. Shilpi Samiksha as the esteemed speaker of the webinar on day 4 of the annual Career Mela 2020. Shilpi Samiksha is currently working as the program officer with the Bihar State Pollution Control Board since July 2019. She has done her graduation from Patna Science College and post graduation from Central University of South Bihar. Then she was with Punjab Central University for a while as MPhil scholar. Later on, she joined Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, Bhopal, as a PhD scholar. She has cleared CSIR UGC net as well as ICAR net. At ISAR Bhopal, that is one of the 5 top science education and research institutes opened by the government of India, as a PhD scholar and as junior research fellow and thereafter as senior research fellow. She also worked as teaching assistant in ISAR Bhopal and as a tutor in Rashtriya Aviskar Abhiyan, where she mentored young students of graduation and post-graduation in science. She has submitted her PhD thesis and will soon be awarded the degree. She has many achievements to her credit. She was one of the 15 students selected from India for NASA in-house training program in 2017. She has also won Best Poster Award in the International Aerosol Conference held in 2018 in St. Louis, USA. She has also won the second prize at a workshop conducted by Bhabha Atomic and Research Center in 2014. She has also got foreign travel grant by CSIR sanctioned for attending 36th Annual Conference of American Association for Aerosol Research in 2017. She has attended the workshop by Max Planck Germany on greenhouse gas modeling. She has been a part of workshop by TERI, the Energy and Resources Institute, and has Best Volunteer Award from the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change for a plantation awareness program. She has done many projects and authored a number of reports. She has authored and co-authored a number of scientific papers in reputed national and international publications. Her current responsibilities as program officer with Bihar State Pollution Control Board includes preparing concept notes and data procurement. She also generates environmental data grid-wise, trajectory analysis of PMR 2.5 and satellite data greenhouse gases inventories. She also oversees tree transplantation guidelines, and she also prepares documents for thermal power plants in Bihar. Over and above these, she is also responsible for report writing and reviewing of reports and proposals on behalf of the organization. She also prepares press releases for the Pollution Control Board. Shilpi will be enlightening the students and all other attendees about career in environmental science. Students are requested to feel free to type their questions in the chat box. We will take them all one by one. You need not raise your hand. Now, I would like to invite Shilpi to do the introduction. Over to you, Shilpi. You can just put on your video and
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for that nice introduction. Thank you, Anvita or Advita, for setting the tone for the evening. As she very rightly mentioned about few environmental issues, which is quite pressing globally and also for our state. Um, okay, so I'll just share my slide. Uh, okay, so should I carry on?
Yeah, we can see your slides, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening uh, to the team Radiant, the students, and the teachers. Congratulations for this concept of giving a heads up to the student well in advance before they actually graduate from from the school and embark a journey where they are about to make a decision. Few of them make a decision early while they are still in school, but you know, giving a heads up well in advance at the very right time through such talk series is such a wonderful idea. And I really want to congratulate the team of the Radiant. Okay, I'm here to talk about, pursuing a career in environmental sciences. Um, Environment, when we say, it's a it's a broad area. It's a multidisciplinary sciences which involves the expertise and the knowledge gained from different subjects, different the basic science subjects like mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, to the nature, to tackle the real issues, which you face in your day-to-day life. As Anvita was mentioning about the deteriorating air quality, specifically during winter season. So, have you wondered why? the problem becomes even worse during the winter time. Okay, so there is a pristine environment where there is just imagine there is an environment where there is no altercation by any contaminants. Okay, and then because of because of multiple activities, just I'm just trying you all to visualize a system where there is no pollution, there is no altercation in the system. Then there are different activities, which are leading to a generation of different pollutants. And then there comes the role of meteorology. We are talking about environment. It's not a uh, it's not an isolated system. So over the years, from the pre-industrial level till today, uh, the concentration of these pollutants have risen like exponentially. And so talking about the deteriorating air quality during winter time, so it is the pollutants are out in the ambient air, right? Then there will be the effect of meteorology. It's not a static system, it's dynamic. So the wind direction, the wind speed, the relative humidity, uh, and also the boundary layer depth or a mixing layer height. Okay, this is a concept where there is an imaginary height beyond which there is a free dispersion of pollutants. I'm just putting it in simple words. So during winter time, what happens? The temperature gets lowered. Relative humidity is in kind of in a range of say 50-60%, which is quite fluctuating. And there is the mixing layer height, which I just mentioned. It gets lowered. The temperature is the temperature actually leads to the decrease in temperature actually leads to the condensation of the particles, and the gases, and these get coalesced, and these remain in the lower tropospheric uh, region. Okay, perhaps I'm being too technical. So during winter time, what happens because of the decrease in temperature? The pollution, the concentration of these pollutants increases because of the increased condensation, because of the radiation inversion that happens in the winter morning, where there is an imaginary layer below which when you there is the dispersion of pollutants uh, is restricted. Okay, so just understand this. So during winter morning, you can see this haze and fog and smog that you see, and it actually contains a lot of particles, which are I'm sure you guys have heard about PM 2.5, PM 10. Okay, so this is one of the issues that really us during winter, and it has very serious health implication, as well as it leads to climate change and warming. So, pursuing a career in environmental sciences is actually, when you see the right panel of the slide, the upper right panel, where you see this guy who has made nature his lab. He's collecting samples of water, air, and other materials, and then analyze it and develop. And according to the results he gets, he develop plans to prevent, control, or fix environmental problems. His job is not limited only to this stage, it goes beyond that. It provides guidance to the public, to the government organization, to the business houses to mitigate and environmental and health hazards. So, are you up for pursuing a career where you can make an impact, where you are relevant, and do you want to contribute to building a sustainable world where at least you pass on the resource
You can use your mic, Shilpi, I think.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So I'm sorry, there was some glitch and I could not hear anything. And so
You
shall I
can use your
continue?
mic and yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So like you're relevant, you want to contribute to building a sustainable world, then environmental science, making a career in environmental sciences is for you. Well, like I said, the joys and miseries of the multidisciplinary field. Yes, so if you want to pursue a career in environmental sciences, you should have the knowledge of mathematics, physics, chemistry, uh, even biology. So uh, that these knowledge can be applied to tackle the issues of the real world. Okay, the relevance. So the relevance, I'm sure if you're following news, you all might have heard about the Paris Agreement, 2015, which aims to strengthen the global response to tackle the threat of climate change by keeping the global temperature well within the 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and further, putting together efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay. So I assume that you all are familiar with greenhouse effect, greenhouse gases, and how it contributes to warming, to global warming. So I think you all have, over the years, you all have felt the impact of climate change. Uh, the summers are becoming warmer, the winters are becoming, you know, uh, the temperature during winter is not or it is not even consistent over the years. So it is definitely a change. and also the floods, uh, the droughts, the frequency of these extreme events have changed drastically. So, okay, so what are the carbon emissions? And when we say greenhouse gases, basically there are different greenhouse gases, but we mostly focus about carbon dioxide. Though it has a global warming potential less than other greenhouse gases, but still we talk in terms of CO2 equivalents. So, you know, under the current policy, the upper left panel, the graph shows that the target to achieve the commitment that has been made to Paris Agreement, that is limiting the temperature to 2 degrees Celsius or 1.5 degrees Celsius. That is not possible with the current policy that we have in place. Okay, so definitely we work the CO2 emissions. Okay, so when we talk about emissions, all developmental activities or even the basics of
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt
thermal
you.
power plants.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you in between,
Yeah.
but your voice is actually very much cracking. So if you can move to an area of a network or something like that, or maybe because of the
Okay.
mic, I do not know.
Okay. Okay. Sure. I'll. So is it good now?
Yeah, yeah, it is fine now. It is good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So talking of relevance and talking of keeping up with the pace of development that we need as a developing country, and also to
We speak into mic, I think, Shilpi. Just keep your mic in front of you.
is it good now?
Ah, yes, it is good now.
Okay.
Just speak into mic, that will help, I think.
Okay. And I'm sorry for that. I don't know, maybe because of the weak signal or something. I don't know. I'm sorry for that. Okay.
No, right now,
Continuing with the talk. Yes.
just speak into the mic. I think that will take care of everything.
Is it good now?
Ah, yes, 100%.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So keeping up our promise made to the Paris Agreement and keeping up with the pace of developmental activities that we need as a developing nation, it is important to devise technologies which leads to cleaner production, uh, reduction in emission rates, alternative to non-renewable energy, switching to renewables, smart buildings, uh, smart grids, uh, and a lot of such technologies and processes are need to be focused on. So this field has enormous opportunity. It doesn't just go where you just study a subject, but here you can actually have the knowledge you gained after studying a subject to actually apply it to real world issues, like I mentioned earlier. So talking about the annual global GHG emission, like I said, there is a need of a drastic change in policy we have ratified that we have to definitely cut back down on I'm sorry, when we compare it to developed countries like Europe and United States of America, and even China. Moving on, okay. So nowadays, COVID. So COVID as well, and only good thing is perhaps it actually helps. Movement activities were shut down during the lockdown period, and so here you see that impact. Uh, but in 2020, there is a sudden, there is a decrease, and this totally the emission isn't negative. I mean that is like unlike situation. It is never uh, okay. So now line every other day is definitely worth pursuing, right? Now, I'm sure you all have followed the U.S. election. Now, one of the agenda that really resonated with a lot of U.S. citizens were the same Paris Agreement that I have just talked about, and now you know why I actually mentioned about it. So, you know, the major agenda that Biden actually has, he vows to reach a Paris Climate Agreement within 2 or 3 months of him coming to power. Now, uh, I've been told that the audience is from 9th to 12th standard. I'm sure you guys have followed Greta Thunberg, right? A girl who started a climate strike, and which is of course not advisable, but still, she gained that kind of popularity uh, only talking about environment and the impacts of climate change. So, and yes, our very own PM receives Champions of the Earth award uh, because of two reasons. That the one was the total elimination of single-use plastic, total ban on it. The target is to achieve it by 2022. Alongside Emmanuel Macron, the the Prime Minister of France. So you know why it gives you an image. It enhances your image as a global leader, and they're like the one screenshot that I've put on here is few news. It's of November 4, 2020, where you can see U.S. formally exits Paris climate deal. Japan Suga sets 2050 deadline for carbon neutrality, and so on and so forth. So yes, these issues make headline every single day. So again, the same thing. The UN Secretary General makes fresh appeal for carbon neutrality, and yes, here is the point of interest for you all, that a coalition of industries signed charter for near zero emissions, and how they're going to achieve it. They definitely have to build. They definitely have to go for capacity building
the skill enhancement, and a lot of hiring for environmentalists, right? And when I say environmentalists, they're environmental engineers, they're environmental scientists, they are meteorologists, they are remote sensing people, which I'll discuss later. And now coming to our home, Patna, or say Bihar, we recently signed an MOU with IIT Delhi for grid-based PM 2.5 analysis. And we are also doing trajectory analysis, developing some airsheds to have an idea of the pollution of the level with a resolution of say 1 kilometer into 1 kilometer. So that would be a very good addition to the knowledge that we have for Bihar in terms of air quality. Now you can see the map in the left hand side. Basically mentioning that it is the worst enemy of in terms of its implications on human health and climate change. So people mostly focus like until very recently focused on greenhouse gases, but a lot of research carried out in different across countries have revealed that PM 2.5 and the black carbon, which is a very important and significant constituent of PM 2.5, has the potential of global warming comparable to any greenhouse gas, or specifically CO2. Now, talking about this, the death rate per 1 lakh population attributable to air pollution, the Bihar is topping that list. Okay, as you can see in the right hand side of the slide, the upper right panel, where there is a table showing these statistics. So, and recent, like it is as recent as yesterday, this news popped down, like life expectancy in Bihar down by 6.9 years due to bad air. And this study is published in a Lancet, which is a leading leading international journal in health. Okay, now talking of finances, it's a very important aspect of making a career choice, right? You should definitely know that whether the government agencies are financing the area where you're thinking of working. So environment is definitely, which is full of funds these days, and so just for air quality management, union budget in 2021 allocated 4,400 crore for NCAP, and Bihar also got approximately 22 crores for tackling the air pollution problems. For that, we need to have the source apportionment studies. By source apportionment, we mean that what are the different sources, quantifying the sources, quantifying the contribution of these pollutants from each of the sources, and then putting the control devices and the control measures, and curbing the pollution at the source itself. Now, when I at the outset only, I have mentioned about the dynamism of the pollutant and how meteorology play a role in in formation of concentration of these pollutants. So now, yes, there are 102 cities under national which is not the level of PM 2.5 is exceeding the prescribed levels, prescribed concentration limit, which is 60 microgram per meter cube. And so this plot or this map where you can see that there is this color change, right? And there is this, you can see the IGP region, the entire IGP region, and you can spot down Patna here by a black dot. You can see the entire the air quality, the air pollutants, right from the upper IGP region. It comes down to Patna. So it's not just the local sources, your vehicles, which are or the local industries or the local thermal power plants, which is making the situation worse. It's also the regional air transport that is making it even worse. And sometimes the regional sources dominate. The share of regional sources are more than local sources. So I have done this analysis for Bihar, and this is the PSCF map, which is a potential source contribution function, where you know how much is coming from where. This is a trajectory modeling, and I've also tracked down about the air parcel that is traveling to Patna in different seasons, and you can see that there is a difference. Uh, it varies with different seasons, and the bottom panel, which is showing the local wind direction pattern and weighted on the pollutant. So you exactly know that within the periphery of Patna, what are the reasons, or what are the, from which direction your pollutants are coming. So okay, if you guys follow NASA, uh, you definitely have heard this term called Asian brown cloud, and which is why it is called Asian brown is being carried out enormously in these regions. I'm sure you all have heard about stubble burning during this winter time. Oh, like apart from the crop residue burning, there is also the practice of open burning for heating purposes. So this is one study I have carried out with the collaboration of IT Delhi, where you can see the last one where there is a cooking is being done on with the crop residue, fuel load, and all, and the bottom figure which shows the brown carbon, the percentage of brown carbon and black carbon. So in fuel gasoline and diesel that you use, the percentage of brown carbon is minimal. But these burning, crop residue burning, we burn cow dung, emission of brown carbon, which is also uh, which also has the effect on global warming, and its light or uh, absorbing potential is comparable to any of the greenhouse gases. Okay, just talking about some in-house problem of Bihar, the water table has dipped alarmingly across Bihar between August 2019 and February 2020 because of the increased extraction. And yes, this is also a very, apart from the arsenic problem in the groundwater of Bihar in some reason, the water table, the lowering of the water table is also a huge problem. I think everyone has right to clean water, and if if there is a scarcity of water, and there are plans with the government where they are actually thinking of putting water meter, which is already in place in other cities of India, will be very difficult to kind of tackle uh, and cope up with those scenarios. Okay, now coming to your interest, I'm really sorry I have taken too long to kind of uh, talking about the relevance and motivation that one should pursue. Okay, so when you make a career choices, what are the different variables that come into the
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Hello. Ma'am, can you hear my voice? Hello. Ma'am, we cannot hear your voice. Hello.
With also request her to switch on her video. No speaker video is important.
Oh, okay, sir.
See, because even the listeners' body the language of speaker is important.
Hello.
hello
Huh. Yeah, ma'am. Actually, your voice was not coming at all.
okay.
Ma'am, okay, ma'am, there's a request. Can you just switch on your camera?
Okay, sure. So it seems that it won't let me share switch on the camera while I'm sharing the screen. It seems.
Okay, 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 fine, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. So different variables that that one should uh, think of while pursuing a career is uh, is like where you're interested in environmental science activities, whether you are actually concerned about these issues, whether you have that passion to kind of be innovative, do those kind of inventions where you can actually device a photovoltaic cell. You can design that. You can with the cheaper material, that can perhaps makes it price. It makes it cost effective to be used by the common people. And also there is a social recognition that everybody actually wants. So whether that is fulfilled, so whether you are confident that it will fetch you a good package, all of that, like these are the concerns that one come across while making a decision about the career. So they're like, few steps that you should keep in mind while making a career decision. So like I discussed, decide which global problems are most pressing. Identify the key bottlenecks in each area. Identify the career path that best address these bottlenecks and focus on career options with the best personal fit. Consider making quantitative estimates of the value of different career options. Well, I have said six, but I guess I have just mentioned, like I have just put down only five steps. So while saying that consider making quantitative estimates of the value of different career options, there is also a thing that one should keep in mind, that whether the focus, what is the projections of, of the of the market, of the government, of the firms, of the uh, and different organizations, and how, what are the projections of, the job trends, the demand of these kind of skills. So these things definitely one should keep in mind. Okay, so when I have mentioned that it's an interdisciplinary field, that it transcend across scientific disciplines, including maths, physics, chemistry, geology, botany, geology, whatever, and applying it to the real world issues. So how closely they align with the discipline will vary depending on employer, project, and individual preferences. So there are different fields that one can think of when I say environmental sciences. It like atmospheric sciences, aerosol sciences. I work in aerosol science, where I have applied physics, chemistry, maths for my research area, for my research goals, for achieving them. Ecology, environmental scientist, environmental chemistry, water chemistry, hydrogeochemistry, uh, climate dynamics, environmental management. You can also be an environmental lawyer if you want. And we at the pollution control boards, we are the regulatory bodies, we issue environmental clearance. So I think it would be interesting for you to know that every single industry, be it a biomedical facility or healthcare facility or an industry, uh, they all, or even eateries, a restaurant, they all need consent to establish and consent to operate from the state pollution control board. So, and without that environmental clearance, no project, no industry, no such restaurants can be set up. So yes, there are existing there are laws. You definitely have heard about Environmental Protection Act, Water Act, Air Act, and so on and so forth. Depending on your interest, you can be that as well, and you can be an environmental engineer. So yes, this is this is the kind of diversity this field has. Okay, so just seeing that uh, career opportunities, it kind of sounds boring, like just when you think about environment. So that's why actually I have and I think I'm running out of time. I'm completely running out of time, because I have to take your questions as well. But trust me, it's very exciting when you uh, think of these pressing issues that I have discussed. You kind of follow news, you kind of you if you follow even the social media, and just follow these pages of UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, World Health Organization, CPCB, and the Central Pollution Control Board, that is United States Environmental Protection Agencies, and all of that. So you'll be will get to know that how relevant it is.
Hello, ma'am.
hydrogen fuel. That is very interesting if we can make progress there. Conservation of our natural resources, so something like resource efficiency, that is very important, where we don't only where we not only recycle, reuse, we actually remanufacture, refurbish, and redesign, smart materials and all of that, and we reuse and refurbish and remanufacture everything. And there is also a concept of circular economy, where the waste of one industry becomes the raw material of other. So these are very pretty interesting concepts. There are like science of sustainability, where you actually there is a very interesting subject of environmental economics, where you actually giving the monetary uh, you are actually giving these environmental attributes some monetary value. So that is amazing. And then planning of urban and rural waste disposal, when you say smart city, if these things need to be taken care of. Sustainable environmental planning, review and investigate companies and industries for environmental concerns, design and implement standard operating procedure, the policy, uh, the the need to redesign the policy that is required for tackling these issues, and provide technical support for environmental remediation projects. So, okay, high demand skills, high demand jobs. There's green construction, efficient manufacturing, agricultural efficiency and innovation. So these are the high demand jobs, like I mentioned. Uh, Typical job areas are like you can these consulting companies, manufacturing industries, NGOs, research organization. You can work with international development agencies like UNEP, UNDP, and there are a lot of like development alternatives. There are a lot of these kind of agencies which work both in India and abroad. There's Kriya, and I'll definitely, should you have any such queries regarding that, I'll definitely would like to answer those questions. Then financing institutions like climate finance is something which is very interesting these days. Asian development banks are actually financing for these kind of strategies which help mitigate the impacts of climate change. So, okay, corporate initiatives. So, Dell, I just took an example of Dell, which you all are definitely using Dell laptops or quite familiar with it. They're aiming to engage 75% of team members in community service by 2020. I'm sure you all are familiar with corporate social responsibility, and there is something where they actually not only do these they the environmental concerns are their top priorities, apart from their legal bound to follow the existing rules that is being laid out by different regulatory bodies and central pollution control boards. So ensure 90% of waste generated in operated buildings is diverted from landfills, reduce greenhouse gas emissions from facilities and logistic operations by 50%. And for all of these, they need the environmental workforce. They need these expertise. There are different corporate initiatives. Uh, Google, that's Green Google, and it has been carbon neutral since 2007, at least what they're claiming. This is the future of environmental workforce. Future of green. It's a very promising future because environmental issues are never ending. So no matter how much because you have to keep up with your development activities, you just cannot switch to renewables totally, and all of these. So it's something which will always be there, and we will have to continuously work towards achieving the goals of limiting our emissions and pollution. Okay, so like I just said, why one should make career environmental sciences. You can see the problems, uh, this visibility during winter time, or even the high pollution episodes, days where the pollution levels are really high. You will have problem in also in the visibility. Uh, and basically when you work on these issues, and you'll feel you're connected to nature, and this will also have a sense of satisfaction uh, when you compare this to other jobs, and it will also fetch you good amount of money, and will have good paychecks. So also you work in a sector where your job is not just to develop, produce goods, but to do so efficiently, right? With minimize the resource consumption, innovation, and creativity. Lastly, we move into an era of constrained resources. Organizations that help their customers minimize waste and resource consumption will emerge as global leaders. Just talking about some job prospects, 10.3 million renewable energy jobs were created globally in 2017-18. And in India alone, we project environmental related occupations to grow by 15% every year, which is faster than the average for all other occupations. This is the jobs that was the statistics show that global renewable energy employment for the corresponding technologies, and you can see solar voltaic to bioenergy to wind energy to solar heating, cooling, and other like geothermal, and and hydrothermal, and other uh, such energy sectors. These are perhaps your role. Like I said, that every industry needs a clearance before they can actually establish or operate. There is something called EI, environmental impact assessment. You can be that. It's pretty good. You can get employment like just after you complete your postgraduate, but you can be environmental consultant, scientist. You can be geologist. You can be an academician, and you can be a part of public policy and government planning, and so on and so forth. There are diverse areas that one can explore. So I have got an opportunity to work in different fields while I was I'm still like, yes, I'm perhaps a month away from my doctorate degree, but these are few publications that I have, and I'm working on like at least five more, and which will be published very soon. And there are different, like something like optical attenuation, source profiles, and then using carbon isotope fingerprints for distinguishing sources or source apportionment studies, looking at the implication of these pollutants on climate. So you can actually make you can actually get to work on multiple areas. So that is very interesting, at least to me. Okay, since I come from ISA, I should definitely advertise that. And why I would recommend ISA, because just after your 12th, you can get enrolled in your BSMS program, where the one very important thing about these ISA academic curriculum is that in the first 2 years of your BS, you are exposed. It's mandatory to take all the basic science courses. You have to study maths, you have to study physics, you have to study chemistry, you have to study biology, you have to study even data science. I'm sure you guys have heard about data scientists, and this surge of job prospects for a data scientist. So yeah, all of that, and there are different channels which definitely you can find it on the internet. So, okay, thank you. I would like to, take up questions if you have. I'm really sorry. I just got a little carried away. I actually took more time. I'm really sorry. I just want some time for, for taking up questions. And of course, you're free to write, and we're very happy to take up your questions. You can mail me. You can drop a mail at both my email IDs. Both will work, perhaps. So I have put that down, and thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I think there is more to environment than we have always thought, and there is going to be a lot about it. I just want the students to put on their cameras and put off their mics so that you can take up your questions. You can raise your hand and I can see, and then I'll appoint, and then you can unmute your mic and you can ask up some questions. But there are few questions in the chat box. I'll take up that first. But in the meantime, students, please raise your hand so that I can ask you to unmute, and then you can ask your certain questions. The first question over here is, what are the job opportunities from an environment for an environmental scientist in private and government sector?
I think my talk has very well covered that. But specifically, like I said, there is a department, there is a need of environmental clearance for all the industries of all the sectors, to take that clearance. They have an environment department. They'll have to check their emission. They'll have to put in place the control devices. They have to follow the norms that are being laid out by the regulatory bodies. So you can just search on Google. There are different jobs that in the private sector that you can opt for. You can be a freelancer, you can be a consultant, you can be environmental engineer, you can be in the research and development wing, you can be a lawyer, an environmental lawyer. You can be an environmental manager who takes care of like I said, the smart material. You can be smart city managers. And yeah, so there are like a lot of scopes and a lot of job opportunities that you're going to have, both in government as well as private sector. Yes, and both in India and abroad. So yeah, so that is there.
Ma'am, the next question is, what are the qualities and qualification needed to become an environmental scientist?
Okay, what are the qualities and qualification? Okay, quality, I think you should be a little sensitive towards the issues that you actually observe, right? You should care about environment. You should care about the air that we are breathing is clean, is healthy. So this is a kind of you know uh, aptitude that is required, where you are too responsive about the change that happens outside, and you are a keen observer of that. I think perhaps that is one of the quality that is needed. The qualification, it depends. So you can have a job even after your BS degree or BSc degree, whatever you call it. So you can take up job. A lot of my friends have taken up jobs after their undergraduate, after their undergraduate course, and they're doing fine. So it depends on your perseverance and interest, that what qualification you really want to have. But I think from what I will suggest you, that you definitely pursue it. So even if you're say you're doing BTech in environmental engineering, you should definitely do MTech in environmental engineering, because if you're doing BTech in any other stream, MTech is it kind of lessens your value. But if you are having an MTech degree in environmental engineering, it will add rather. And you should definitely, even if you're doing say BSc, you should definitely go for MSc programs. Yeah.
Ma'am, the next question is, what is an environmental lawyer?
Okay. So there are different acts, which is in place. There is Environmental Protection Act 1986. There is Water Act 1974. There's Air Act 1981, which have laid the norms, and very specifically about what should be the limit, or the concentration of discharge, if you're talking about the groundwater, like the surface water. There are like industries which are polluting these surface water bodies, or to air. So there are different laws which is in place, and under the Water Act 1974, these pollution control boards are came into the picture. So you can find it out. You can just type in environmental laws, and you can, and so to you will be issued. So every industry gets gets these show cause notice or closure directions of why you're polluting beyond the acceptable levels. So you have to kind of comply to these rules. So you should definitely have idea about what are these environmental laws, and you can you know uh, provide consultancies. You can act, and of course, how can I forget to mention about National Green Tribunal, which is a revolutionary, if I say, in field of environmental sciences. So these lawyers actually take up the cases where there is the government, for that they lay out fine and cross, and the government agencies, uh, which are actually the regulatory bodies, should is actually liable to pay these fines. So yes, it is pretty interesting to actually look at these laws. And
Ma'am, the next question is, if I choose up my career as a nature lover, is there any source of income?
okay, nature lover. Okay, so yes, you need to have a nature lover if you want to pursue a career in natural sciences. So by saying a nature lover, I will just say that you don't want to get into technicalities and the skill set that is required in scientific domain, but just by the virtue of loving the nature. You can work with NGOs, right? You can work with, there are international NGOs, there are in-house NGOs, and where you can work with. You can actually there's a program by a very successful program by Bihar government, Jal Jeevan Haryali, where they actually work with communities. And they are rejuvenating water bodies, like which are on the verge of extinction, I'll say, or which are on the verge of uh, just not in existence, basically. So there are a lot of efforts, where different NGOs are actually working, where you don't really have to have those skill sets, but actually you should be willing to work with communities. You should be willing to work closely with nature. You should visit, you should love to go outdoors, and to go, to visit these lakes or wetlands, or whatever, a tree, a small patch of forest, say. And you can have these plantation drives. You can motivate people to do that. So yes, of course. And you can, and in the course of this, you can also be paid uh, well, I guess. Yes.
This question is, I want to be an oceanologist. How can I
Mhm.
pursue that?
Okay. So there is a science called oceanography, right? You can pursue that, and there is this institute in Goa, National Oceanographic Institute. You can just type in Google. This is perhaps the only oceanography institute, and but I'm sure there are different institutes that are actually uh, thinking at least uh, to start these courses of oceanography. It is pretty interesting. It can fetch you a good job. There are different, like when you say climate change, and these oceanographers, they actually, there is this huge, I mean, the amount of water that we have on this planet. So definitely it would be it is something which is, there are a lot of things which are unexplored, and this marine water which is not fit for drinking. Like multiple researches are being carried out uh, across the world to make it fit for drinking. And this is one of the aspects. There is like oceanography is entirely a science which deals with the nitty gritty of the ocean environment, which is uses in itself. So yes, you can definitely pursue that, and you will have good job prospects there. Yes.
So, ma'am, without further ado, I would like to call upon our principal sir to sum up the session with few words. Principal sir, over to you.
Yeah, good evening. I think there is one question that environmental degree is best. Which environmental degree is best for environmental career? Somebody has just typed.
So this would be very difficult to choose. It depends on individuals' interest. But environmental engineering and I think atmospheric sciences would I think that these are the two subjects or two degrees or that have huge potential in the upcoming time. Yes.
I think this Aditya has, I think, put something in the CSIR, National Institute of Oceanography.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he is
NIU
helpful.
Goa basically.
Okay, so the kids are doing well. Can we have the videos of Advita? Let's try the switch on the videos of these teachers and other students who are around who can switch on. Only the
Yes,
video, not the audio.
yes, sir. I already asked them to switch on
Yeah, but
their videos, all the students, but they haven't switched on it yet.
or I think Mr. Vinod would have switched off, muted everybody probably to avoid confusion. So anyway, we'll probably try next time. Yeah, so Shilpi, I just wanted to firstly compliment you for taking up the Mr. Vinod.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let it be. I think now we will move ahead.
Done, sir. Done, sir. Unmuted. Yes, sir.
Anyway, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. For people want to have their videos on.
Welcome, sir.
Don't switch on the audio. Only the video. They are welcome. Right. So I think
Now they can.
very well covered all aspects of environment. And I would just like to just ask you a few questions, or just this thing, and then maybe something which we want to. This EVS came in, I think, as a CBSE subject, I think 10, 12 years or maybe earlier on, with this idea to probably sensitize students and get these students, get to know about environment and start working towards it, for keeping this, thing in mind about protection of environment. However, what has happened is that people are largely unaware of
True.
environment, career as an environment, and what really, because it is not glamorous as some of the other careers. So to some extent, you have tried to put in and help some of us and the students. So this is one thing which I think all of us need to do, and as a school and all the teachers, because science and bios, everybody wants to become a doctor, an engineer, and in the top notch, but nobody wants to go into agriculture and veterinary and environment. So that is the one problem. So we have to highlight the contribution of environmentalists, a little bit, you did show in your presentation. The second thing, I wanted to check with you what the students can do really, and would request you, what are the sort of type of projects you think with the students, or you could advise us with the school should take it up, to give it to the students. By, you work on these projects. It could start early, right from class 4, 5 onwards.
Yeah, true. Uh,
Would you like to suggest?
yes, sir. So, we have recently launched a green school program, okay, in collaboration with Center for Science and Environment, New Delhi.
I
And
think we are already, yeah, we are part of that green school thing. But again, what is happening that only few students, you see 10, 12, 30 or 50 or 100 students participate. So everybody does not participate. So it has to be mass participation.
true, true, true. Okay, so so you have mentioned about projects. I think the very interesting and to begin with, I think list like see since you have mentioned about fourth fifth standard kids, they should be sensitized about the carbon footprints, their day to day activities, listing down those activities, say they have traveled by their car or the school bus. They're emitting, they're the part of that process which emits the CO2. And then the other thing that would be, like something like waste to wealth. These kind of projects can be taken up. Recycling paper uh, can be inducted at a very early stage. The one interesting project I think would be to recycle the resources that you're using, starting from paper, uh, to switching to environmental friendly products. So there are, I know these people are doing it for branding purposes, where they say that they're eco-friendly product and they raise their prices. But they should they will at least have some idea that this is an issue where they can
Yeah, correct.
actually.
So in fact, here again, we are part of this Better India project and all that. So yeah, in that, I think many students participated. A lot of these newspapers, papers and polythene collection and these bottles, and you will find, on our campus, so they have made some, those garden kind of thing with used plastics and things like that, or used plastic bottles, etc. Yeah, and a daily audit that you suggest. So this is a good point, which I think, and across classes, I think we need to do. Okay, good. Anything else which you think for the school, let's say to have a green school, there would be, I think, certain, I'm sure, parameters that what all school can do by way of water, light, the other, reducing carbon, that footprint and so on and so forth. Something like that. Yeah, so maybe that could be something which every student could be tasked by you write a essay or topic or something, or work on some project or something.
So one project I'm involved while working with Bihar State Pollution Control Board is installing a solar cell. On the rooftop solar panel installation of that, and we are working very closely with Biada and
This solar panel, yeah, right. What is what happening, solar panel, that is the management comes in, whether they have to take decision whether we want to, and initial that is huge expenditure. So that may take some more time, before we decide to go in for that. But it's a good idea nonetheless. And
and
yes,
and the other thing would perhaps be, not paving, see, we have concrete pavement inside the premises of school. Let's not do it. Let's it should be like soil, and there should be a part where you have this rainwater harvesting thing that can be done. So that is one thing that I think every school should look for, because groundwater recharge is something we should take very seriously.
This is important.
Given the
Between when we decided to have, so some of us felt that the water level is good enough and we don't need to do that, but I don't think that is correct. So yeah,
no, these are misleading
I
reports.
know, I understand, I appreciate that. Acha, okay, fine. Acha, then yeah, again, I think we have already spoken as to how to get the students to get them away from thinking about engineering, medical, and other more glamorous. Some of it you. Then I would just like to draw your attention. You must be aware now. This new thing is that all the companies are talking about ESG. To be included. As part of their company development or a policy, which is that environment, social cause, and governance.
Mm,
ESG, environment has become part and parcel of it.
that is true.
So likewise, I think even for a school, I think we need to have a strong thing about this environment, and everybody must be sensitized. Unfortunately, what is happening? Firstly, even if teacher understands the student, half the student, and at the employee level, nobody understands. You see the bus driver, 200 people or 150, they don't understand what is पर्यावरण or environment. उनको कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा कि भाई क्या हो रहा है ना? So whether it is water or kachra or this thing, so they don't understand anything and very limited. So that is one. And even our, you are working in this the municipality, the pollution control board, but you see if you drive along this Bailey Road, you will find on both sides, along this near Saguna Mode, so there are these nalas and all these kachra, so much of bloody muck on either side of that road, from that Rupaspur Nala, and I think neither municipal or nobody is doing anything much about it. So I don't know, maybe I thought I will just draw your attention to.
So if I can add to that, like you have very rightly mentioned about these things, and I am happy to share with you that we have a grievance cell now, which is just inaugurated, and here there's an app as well of that you can download, and you can just complain over there, and it has a timeline. Okay, the state pollution control board actually coordinates with the concerned department, if it is a municipality or urban urban local bodies, the anything that you see, the piles of waste or trashes, or the nalas which is not clean, or which is people are dumping things over there. The complaint can be lodged on a grievance portal of Bihar State Pollution Control Board, and we are working actively on that, like taking up those.
I think, yeah, so we will do that. In fact, we've been discussing with Taru Mitra and others sometimes, and this municipal. So I was told. So we will try and do that. And so then I think internship probably we are already. Last time I think some students went to this control, but now the pollution control board to do some internship kind of thing. So maybe we would like to have something more. And now, of course, because of lockdown, we've not been able to visit. But we can still do, or maybe some online kind of projects or something.
Yeah, that can be done. We have recently opened this we are taking up applications for internship, but I'm afraid that we haven't thought of school kids as yet to take as interns, but definitely I can talk to chairman sir.
School
He's
you must
very
think of. You see, class 12th, you must think of. It's very important.
yeah,
And
true.
class 12th, maybe, I don't know, 11th, 11th, 12th, because, it is already happening. And in fact, in the other schools, in metros and others, and we have also started last 2 years and this thing. So at least whatever little opportunities that is available in Patna. And if you can do, it will be good.
So they can be made. To visit these IMD that is there at the airport. So the meteorological department, and also we have the remote sensing center here, the Department of Environment, Forest and Climate Change at Aranya Bhavan, and also the Bihar State Pollution Control Board. We are now, I think, of late, these bodies have been very actively engaged in these environmental aspects. So
You all
yes.
must have, in fact, engage with students, because all these kids who will then tomorrow's leaders, so they will do something worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah, then of course this lockdown, I think, is a real, I think, knock to everybody that you better wake up and take care of the nature and environment. So I think there is no more warning needed by anybody else. I
Yes,
think
so we are actually in a process of developing an app which calculates your carbon footprint. So
Hmm.
we are working with our IT cell and all, and we will be will very soon come up with that app that will be freely available. And we are just working on the accuracy in calculation and all of that. So yeah, that would be good, if students can download these kind of apps and or motivated uh, to actually use these apps. Yes.
Right. I see one student, Aditya, has put up something here in chat box. Aditya, what is it? You have put up something?
Yes, sir, he's just written that yes, it's true, as we are having career counseling, it is
No, that
making
is
us
fine.
more
What has he put up?
informative.
Something photo where I think he's growing plants or seeds, something in that container. Aditya, can you share with that? You unmute yourself.
Sir, I have just sent it as because the topic was going on the
You
groundwater
switch on
level.
your
So,
you switch on your video. With online classes, I think students are not used to, so we are all doing this. But I find that other schools are doing with their videos on, and I think yes, Aditya, can you hear me?
yes, sir.
Switch on your video, beta. We can't see your face. Yes, go ahead. Now explain what have you put up there. Unmute yourself. Unmute. You are muted.
Yes, sir. Sir, as
Yeah.
the topic was going on groundwater level, so I thought that I should share some ideas so that people, instead of just talking about groundwater level, we should also see some pollution, as the topic of this career counseling is about environmental science. So in
Hmm.
environmental science, pollution also comes. So
Hmm.
just, sir, I suggested to make also think about pollution also.
So what is that photo you have put up? The three containers, one green and one brown and things like that. Yes.
Sir, it is a difference about those that people are making, just removing all green plants and those grasses which are for uh, for their purpose only, for their profit only, but they are not thinking that uh, those plants and trees are making only those water pure. So, sir, as in bottom it is written that sir, this shows that the value of keeping trees and plants living on our soil. As soon as we rip out all of the resources, we pollute our groundwater, which makes it harder and harder to purify for us than drink.
Hmm. Yeah, correct. Very good. Okay. Chalo, nice. And you had also put up this one. this National Institute of Oceanography.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Aditya,
sir,
why?
as ma'am has told on Google.
Yeah, you are which class, Aditya?
Sir, 9D.
90. So are you looking for a career in why have you switched off your video? Yeah, keep it on.
Sorry,
Uh,
sir.
no, doesn't matter. And so are you looking at some career in environmental science or
No,
environment?
sir, no, sir, as parents are not, but I would like to suggest some students to take in part. But, sir,
Then
mine focus is
what is
only
your
on
choice
medical.
of career?
What, sir?
What are you looking at as your career choice?
Sir, medical.
Medical. Why medical? Why not environment?
Sir, environment is good, but my interest is in medical only.
Because if you keep environment better, then medical health will be better. So if you want to, because everybody doctor wants to say, I want to take care of health and do this and do that. But that you will be able to do better if you look after environment. So it is good to, become environmental science, scientist or whatever. That, than becoming going for a, medical degree somewhere. Because you will only then be looking at making money. No.
No, sir.
That's it. So anyway, thank you very much, Aditya. So you still have some time to think about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. There was another I think towards the end, somebody asked what job as a nature lover or something. So I think a lot of people are working, toward this nature, and a lot of these NGOs are there, and people are, activists are there who are trying to protect these forests here, there, and in so many places in the urban areas, rural areas. So because of in the name of development, although those forest and other clearances are required and all that, but at some places, matlab, it is so difficult to imagine that people want to cut trees, place like let's say near Gurgaon, those Aravalli range or the Mangar Hills or somewhere. So it is really absolutely shocking. But still, the various lobbies are playing to destroy all these things. And so, yeah.
So here I want to add about this transplantation of trees. That is a new concept that is being widely practiced nowadays, where you don't cut trees it
No,
is
Shilpi, it
put
did
in
not
space.
work. Now you have seen this road from Saguna Mall to Danapur, Hagol Road, where our school is.
Yeah.
Have you traveled on that road?
Yes, yes, have traveled.
So you saw that road 1 year ago, and now you see that road today. So all trees have been cut, and we did, last year we did a lot of these rally, and all that, and people said that there will be some transplantation, etc., etc. So some trees were left, but in the end nothing happened. So they have cut all the trees now. And now they have widened the road also. They have built some nala half, and there is no plan to further plant trees. So that will take another many number of years. So all those trees which were there for 100 years, they have all gone. And so
So
when
NGT has tightened its grip on this issue of cutting down trees. They have strongly recommended and strongly made it mandatory to transplant trees.
no, that is
And
on
this
ground
is
level, very
the
little.
things that
Ground,
happened.
yeah. So anyway, I think we are now 7:30. Fine. So. Uh,
Uh,
Anything, anybody else or any other teacher or somebody would like to share his or experience, or any other student would like to come in? Yes, Advita, you may ask.
No, sir, there's nothing, but I just want to say one thing.
Hmm.
Nothing as such. I just want to ask. I was sitting in a seminar session with some people, and there was a question arised in which everybody was saying that there are very like other pressing issues as well, like war, poverty. So why is environment the most important thing to deal with at this time? So sometimes I believe that people do not understand this is the most, if you do not have the air to breathe, where will you fight the war or something. So I think environment is something we are dealing with, but people are not taking as much care about it as they should. So I think
There are the
every
lot of now that was there in media, even on TV, that now we are guests, matlab, in this world and not the masters of resources. So you will survive as long as Mother Nature is there. So
yes,
otherwise it will not be there. Unfortunately, people. So that is, I think, environmentalists like Shilpi have to then sensitize people. It is part of even SDG as to how we can, matlab, even make livelihood out of looking after the environment. So even then, probably poverty, there will be less poverty or this thing. So, but that idea has to be sold and people have to understand. So, which is probably not happening because it is very short-term kind of thing, and everybody, policy makers are not looking at probably in that way. Yeah, Shilpi, I think it is your.
Thank you, sir, for having me. And I'm really sorry I couldn't stick to time. I got a little carried away and took longer than the time I was provided. I'm sorry for that. And I hope even few people not I don't know about pursuing a career, because it's even now, over a decade back when I was in school, and coming down to now, people are still students are still skeptical about making a career choice beyond the conventional uh, choices of being an engineer or a doctor. uh, it's good, but even after being a doctor, you can switch to there are diseases which are attributed totally to pollution, and there are medical practitioners in US, and not definitely not in India as for now, as of now, but they're working towards addressing and recognizing and modeling these studies where they actually can figure out, and that yes, if a respiratory disease is there, there can be multiple reasons, but coming uh, uh, to be specific about it is attributed totally to a certain type of pollution is a research area that is being taken up worldwide. So yes, and so is the case for engineers. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, perfectly, because more people are dying with, out of this one because of pollution than corona and other things. But people still don't realize. You already mentioned this one in Bihar, 6, 7 years that longevity has reduced because of pollution, etc. Yeah, Advita, please carry on. Thank you very much, Shilpi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. That was very perceptive, I would say, and I just want to invite our vice principal, ma'am, Miss Manisha Sinha, to say a few words and say the vote of thanks.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Shilpi, it was an engrossing talk and a topic which is personally very close to my heart. And uh, one very important thing which I feel throughout the year, because we have been working with children for over so many years, and as you told that we start early with them with the projects and the recycling and all those concepts. uh, we do it, but then we do it and it stops over there. So as children grow, it is something which has to be constantly instilled into them. Yes, at the school level we do try, but then as Advita pointed out, that general awareness is very very important. And one more thing which I would like to uh, talk before giving that formal vote of thanks is when we were talked about transplantation, and there were various trees which were transplanted on below the new bridge that is being made from Digha to that area. the
R
big one,
block
yeah.
bigger bridge, yes, yeah.
R blocks, huh? But most of the trees did not survive. So somewhere the technology also has to be maybe revisited, or the technology that was brought to Bihar somewhere. But it was really sad to see those trees dying out, trees being cut down on this Saguna road. So I think lots of work is there on your head, and as a school, we do offer ourselves whenever there is a project. You could include the school children. We would be very happy. Thank you so much for giving the students a very, very comprehensive idea about what all encompasses within this environmental science and how we can take it up in multivarious ways as a career option. And I just hope that the green signal inside them lights up, and some of them are motivated to take it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Sir, for organizing this wonderful of Career Counselling Mela, for Mr. Manoj and Advita for doing all the hard work. Thank you, students, for taking out time on your Sunday and listening to ma'am, and I hope some of you are motivated by it. Thank you, teachers, for joining us. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye, Manisha. Bye bye, Vinod, Manoj, Advita, all
Thank you, sir.
teachers. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Good
Arnav,
night, sir.
Manoj. Well, when we have tomorrow, we will maybe request students and teachers to have their videos on and then see how does it work in terms of bandwidth, etc. And whatever points have been, given in
Yes, sir.
the course of discussion, I'm sure you have jotted these down, and we will try and follow up on some of these things and then see what more we can do. Okay, thank you, Manisha. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Good night, sir.
Z से ऐसे जाएगा तो जहां पे ये कटेंगी ये पॉइंट एक्स हो जाएगा। इस पॉइंट का नाम रख देंगे हम एक्स, और फिर इस पॉइंट से वाई को जोड़ देंगे।